Once upon a time, there was a young man named Obina who was to be cursed because he came from a cursed family. All of his family members die mysteriously whenever they reach the age of 30. His parents had visited every spiritualist and prophet they could find in search of a solution, but no one could help them. Obina had 5 other siblings, but they had all died in strange and unexplainable ways. He was the only son of his parents, and with each passing day, Obina lived in constant fear. His peers always celebrated his birthdays with happiness and joy. But Obina was afraid of each passing year because it meant he was getting closer and closer to his death. He was rich, and his family was influential, but no one lived to enjoy the wealth. Beyond the age of 30, with all the wealth his parents had, the TR traveled far and wide and had visited many states, towns, and countries in such a solution, but they finally gave up on the day Obina celebrated his 28th birthday. He was on his way to the gym when he saw a crowd next to a popular shopping mall. He didn't really care about the crowd and struggled to drive through the traffic, but something in him compelled him to go and see what was happening. He carefully packed his car on the side of the road and struggled to make his way through the crowd just to see what was happening. When he arrived in the middle of them, he saw a weak old woman half-scuttled and brutalized by the crowd. This was the first time Obina would see this woman in his life, but he felt empathy and pity for her. He thought about what to do. One man brought a tire and another man. He followed him with a barrel of fuel. They wanted to set the old woman on fire. Obina quickly stood in front of the woman and protected her despite how brutal the crowd was. Out of rage, they shouted at her to get out of the way so that they could burn her alive. But Obina stood firm, and Obina insisted that they tell her the crime she had committed that was so critical for her to be killed in this manner. When the crowd saw that Obina was serious about protecting the woman, a young girl in the crowd revealed herself and told Obina that the woman, she stole her purse. She claimed that she had 1 million naira in her phone, and a very expensive phone worth almost 800,000 naira. Obina was shocked by the young woman's accusation and wondered why the old woman would choose to steal. Obina told the crowd to let the woman go. She told the young woman that she would pay her everything. She claimed that the old woman had stolen from her, but the young woman refused. She insisted that Obina should give her the money for everything immediately, or let the woman be burnt. After much deliberation, Obina took out his phone and asked for the lady's account details. He sent her 2 million naira instantly and asked the young lady to disperse the crowd. The young lady told the crowd to let the woman go and thanked Obina for covering for her. Lost when everyone was gone, Obina looked at the old lady who was still half naked on floor, breathing heavily. She quickly walked into the mall and bought a wrapper which she covered the old lady with. Then she took her to her car and rushed her to the hospital. Obina paid the doctor all of her medical bills and begged him to give her the medical care that money could pay for. Then she went to the gym. When she was coming back from the gym, she met the old lady in the hospital. She was stabilized and conscious. The old lady thanked Obina for saving her life. Obina felt deep sorry for her and gave her some money. As she got up to leave, the old lady took her hand and said something to her. She said, "I can tell that you are scared because you only have 2 years to live." Obina was shocked that the old woman knew about her family's curse. This would be the first time she would see her, so it was completely strange. "How do you know all this? I am the daughter of a sea, and because you have helped me, I would help you too. Now sit down and listen to completely eradicate a tree. You must oppose it." Obina quickly sat down and gave the old woman her full attention. Then she began. Many years ago in her hometown, before the world became modern, there lived 2 friends named Go and M, who were very poor. Everyone in their hometown made fun of them and ridiculed them because they lived like beggars. One day, Goer visited M and told him that he was tired of living like a POA. He suggested that they visit the Akuku shrine to get quick riches. Mia was afraid of the supernatural, so she tried her best to convince Goer otherwise, but Go was already determined. Go told Mezir that he would visit the Akuku shrine the following week, and if he changed his mind, he could tag along, but Mezir was reluctant. But the next day something happened that made M change his mind. Her mother became seriously ill, and she had no money to consult an herbalist, and like a chicken her mother died within 24 hours, and she didn't even have money to hold her funeral. Mia was heartbroken, and still decided to follow Ikuka's shrine. On the appointed day, they both went to meet the custodian of Aish. They narrated their ordeal to him, and the custodian promised that he could make them very rich beyond their wildest dreams. However, he told them that there was a price to pay. Each of them had to find a vision of the flower she and provide the blood that had altered Hyman would get rid of her, and then bury her alive in his residence. Messiah and Go was suddenly dissuaded, but the custodian told them that they only had a week to do what Ikuku required, or they would both meet their end. Messiah and Go, they left Ikuku's shrine feeling more depressed than they were when they went. They never imagined that they had to do such horrible things to become rich, but they had no other choice. The next day, Go lurked at the village stream anticipating he first doctor who had come to fetch water, and she was very lucky to find one. She came alone, and very early when the day was still dark, Messier offered to help her with her water pot. As they walked and talked, he confirmed that she was a virgin. Then Messier intentionally broke the water pot on her skull and knocked her unconscious. He took the medicine home. He did as the custodian asked and buried it deep in his heart. Messier, on the other hand, was skeptical. He was even too scared to think about it. Go met Messier that morning and told him that she had done as the custodian asked, and that he, Messier, was the only one left. He reminded Messier of the consequences if he failed, and went home. While M sat and deliberated, there was a young girl who always passed by his compound when she went to her uncle's farm. The young girl had feelings for Go, being young and recently experiencing puberty. Messier called out to her, forced her to follow him into his heart, and forced her to sleep with him. When Goa was done, he gave her drugged water, and she fell asleep. He then killed her and buried her deep in his heart. Unlike Goa, Messier was deeply hurt and felt guilty. The man Messier killed was the only daughter of an old widow. Why did Goa kill Anoran? Within weeks of having visited the Uka shrine, they both became extremely wy. However, their lavish lifestyle was short-lived, as Messier died mysteriously after 6 months. Right after the rituals were performed, the old woman placed a curse on whoever killed her daughter, and M died a horrible death. Goa, on the other hand, was experiencing. Goa had some real nightmares where the young men he had killed were terrorizing him. Goa ran to the custodian of the Ikuka shrine and sought his help. The custodian did some rituals and told Goa that the only way to escape the girl's putrefaction was to sacrifice her first child in every generation and soothe her grave with the blood. The custodian warned Goa that the child must not leave until a year before he is to be sacrificed. Goa had no choice but to do as he was asked. The custodian had ordered that Goa's family would continue to be wealthy as long as the demand was. He met the old woman and then told Obina that Go was his great-grandfather. The ritual had continued for generations up to his generation. Ob's mother had a hard time giving birth. They were not blessed with a son for the first 12 years of their marriage, and when they finally gave birth, it was a girl. When they finally had a male child, Ob's father was already 59 years old, and his mother 37. Ob's father knew about the rituals, but refused to do what was required. He loved his first and only son too much to murder him in cold blood. As time went on, they had more children, but it was too late for them. The young girl that Goya had killed back then brought up a cause to exalt her revenge that no one in Ob's family would live past the age of 30. Her father would live long enough to witness the death of all his descendants. After the old woman finished narrating, Obina became more frightened. She had no idea it was so serious. She knelt down and begged the old woman to kill Obina. The old woman told her that she could do something, but it would not be easy. She told Obina that she had to go back to her hometown and locate the place where the orphan was buried. She would dig up his bones and find the compound of his real family. She would give him a burial fit for a queen, but this would be after he had confessed on behalf of his great-grandfather and begged for forgiveness from the young girl's family. It was really not an easy task, but Obina had to do it if he wanted to leave. Obina thanked the old woman profusely and quickly ran home to confront her father. Her father admitted that Obina's grandfather had told him the story, but he was too selfish to let go of his newborn baby. Obina and his family went to their hometown and looked for the young woman's family after searching diligently.